Good morning. Thanks, Camila. Really appreciate that introduction. We do have a lot going on. So today what I wanted to talk to you about was a refreshingly fine-tuned approach. And if you are following on Facebook or even YouTube, then we put a question out there. How do you fine-tune your morning tea or coffee? We'd love to know that. Some people are already playing, so go ahead and put in the comments there how you like your tea and coffee, how you fine-tune it to your likes and dislikes. So what is this all about? Well, back in April, early April, late March, in fact, I believe, the executive committee and the board of the Dunedin Music Society got together to figure out our crisis response. So we came up with this approach of being cautious, caring, and optimistic. Well, that was 7 months ago. And life has moved on a lot slower than we expected it to at that point. I think the world has been knocked sideways by this. And then there's a whole bunch of political issues going on around it as well. So we've decided to take the political stuff out of what we do at the Dunedin Music Society. We're just going to take one day at a time and focus on what we do, which is music. Music is not political. Music is not religious. We assign those attributes to it. We explored that previously. If you're interested in that, send us an email. We'll send you that episode so we can get on the same page. So what we decided to do now is to upgrade our crisis response of what we're going to do now. Being cautious, caring, and optimistic is still very appropriate, still very needed. It's a good way to approach life in general. But at this point, as we're beginning to reopen, as we're beginning to perform, as we're beginning to meet in person, socially distanced, what is our next response going to be? Is it going to continue being that, or is it something else? And we came up the other day, or last week, whenever it was, last month, with fine-tuned, flexible, and forward. So for the next 3 weeks, including today, we're going to explore what that means, okay, and what that looks like for the Dunedin Music Society. So we're going to be refreshingly fine-tuned from now on. And I really enjoy this because it means this particular one, being fine-tuned, shows us how we approach you, how we get you connected to live music. I mean, that's what we're all about, connecting local communities with live music. So we're going to explore exactly that and just why we think fine-tuned is a good thing. So I like what Simon Cowell actually says. Yes, that guru who's taken what we do in the background, all these auditions that we've done for decades and stuff, and he's just put them on TV and made it a worldwide phenomenon. So that Simon Cowell, he had a rough life. He really did when he was young, and he's grown up, and finally he's kind of made it into a different world than he expected. But he is where he is. But I love what he said. Let me give you this quote. He said, "Everyone has a sign on their head saying, 'Make me feel important.' If you start thinking it's all about you, you've got a big problem." And I totally agree with that. Totally wholeheartedly agree with that. If you start thinking whatever you do is all about you and what you want, then that's not music. That's not what we are here. It's not what we're going to do. So what is it that we can do? What is it that we actually need to focus on while we make music and connect with each other? And I think that's basically where we're at with taking a refreshingly fine-tuned approach. The first thing is that we want to focus. We really want to focus hard. There are a lot of people out there who are promoting the portfolio career, if you like, or the diversity of trade, and doing a whole bunch of different kind of things. And I have a bit of a problem with that, because if you look at all the big corporations around the world that try to do that, most of them have got rid of that and gone back to focusing on what they do best. So that's kind of the direction the DMS really wants to take, is to stay focused on what it does best. And what is that? Well, the first thing is that all of us want to feel good, right? We all want to feel good. Anything that we do, we're going to do more of if it makes us feel good. We, as human beings, we stay away from things that make us feel bad, that we don't like most of the time. So we want to focus on the fact that does what we do as performers, as listeners, as volunteers, make us feel good? And if it doesn't, we have to adjust it. But that's one of the focuses that we're going to concentrate on, is making us feel good. Now, the problem is that we all choose how we respond. And I think sometimes we forget that. We forget that we can control how we respond to certain circumstances and situations. It is up to us how we respond. The circumstances may not be up to us, like COVID, right? And isolation, all that kind of stuff. But how we respond to that is up to us. We can choose to look at things negatively, or we can choose to look at things in a beneficial way. So again, if we want to feel good, we can choose whether or not we respond to a circumstance or a situation in a good way, in a way that makes us feel good, or a way that doesn't. And that's up to us. So we want to create an environment where not only do we help you feel good, but where you make the choice to actually feel good about whatever's going on. And that means that all of us, especially here at the DMS, we need to suspend rabbit warrens and personal distractions. What the heck does that mean? Okay, well, rabbit warrens, it's like, you start diverging, you get distracted by, you have a thought, and then you have another thought that's over here, and then another thought and then before you know it, you're way off the track. Whereas if you stay fine-tuned and you stay focused on what it is that you're on, and you get rid of all those peripheral things, yes, it's nice to acknowledge that they're there, that you could go down that road. But let's stay focused. Let's concentrate on what it is that we are trying to achieve. That is very refreshing indeed, and I really like that. Now, the personal distractions part is when we do make it all about us. This is where the Simon Cowell quote comes in. When we focus on what we want as opposed to what's good for us and the community. Do you remember John Nash at Princeton University? He won the Nobel Peace Prize for maths, I think, because that's what he proved, was that any decision that you make that is good for you and for the group is the best decision that could possibly be done. So when you get distracted by what you think is appropriate, what you think your goals are, and what you think is important, that may or may not be the best for the group. So removing those personal distractions of what your expectations are and focusing on what other people want and on what's best for the group as well as you, then again, the choices that we make on how we respond to things will make us feel good. So that's the focus part. I hope that really encourages you and helps you here. The second thing about the refreshingly fine-tuned approach is that we need to maintain good governance. Good focus and good governance, making sure that that there is kind of oversight, that we take ourselves out of a situation, we look at it, what's the word I'm looking for? Can't remember. But we look at it from a different perspective, from outside, not in the mud, so to speak. We look at the forest, not just the trees. So the one way to do that, and that I'm really proud about with the DMS, is that the governing bodies that we have, I mean, we have a governing board. It's not an operating board, it's a governing board. Make sure we do everything right and legally and all that kind of stuff. But we also have the executive committee who do all the work. And that executive committee govern whatever else we do and keep me in check and keep all the other staff and conductors and whatever else in check as well. So what I really like about the DMS, the way the DMS has chosen to approach things, is that we avoid what's trendy. We don't actually get sucked in to the fun, latest, shiny object stuff. We stay focused, and our governors, maintaining good governance, make sure that we actually avoid getting caught up in trends, because that will then force us to put so many resources, energy, and effort, which is so limited because we're all volunteers, put so much energy and effort into something which will then dissipate in a couple of months' time. So we avoid trying to be trendy, and we focus on what will actually help people feel good and make their lives better. A good governing body, a good governance, again, this is very refreshing. You don't often see this, is that governors or an organization will enable and support people. We enable things to happen. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people associate the word enabler with negative connotations. But it's actually, I think, a good thing that you enable people to do their thing. And that is one of the great things that the DMS is all about, is that if you want to do something, we will work as hard as we can to help make it happen. Now, many times it's not possible, either financially or logistically, or with we don't have enough personnel, all that kind of stuff. There are all sorts of problems. But if there is a way that we can make something happen for you, we're going to make it happen. Okay, and we support people, we support ideas, we support what people want to do. This is where most of our programs come from. Somebody somewhere has a little conversation, or something happens, they choose to respond to it, how they respond to it, and they come up with an idea that could improve or change or be something completely different. And we explore that, we help them actually implement that and make it happen. But the other thing about being or maintaining good governance is to know where your home is. Where is your emotional home? Because particularly in this time right now of turmoil, we're still in kind of turmoil, especially with the USA election coming up, the presidential election. There's a lot going on that is unnerving. Okay, and music is one of the things that we really, really need at times when we feel unnerved and are scared. I think we said this before, one of the best times that music came to its forefront, real live in-person music, was after September 11, 2001. Actually, it was on September 12th when people started listening to music to actually get some peace, find some clarity in life. Because the mental health benefits of live music are just second to none. So like in, the problem is, when we focus on ourselves, like Simon Cowell said, we got a big problem. We trust our feelings, which come from the heart. The heart cannot be trusted because it's fleeting, it is momentary, it is reactionary. And that's why I say that when you focus and you choose how you respond to things, it's not relying on your heart. It's relying on what is your emotional home. In our case, and certainly for me personally, it's music. Get listening, get playing, get singing, get participating somehow in live music. That's where my emotional home is. If you've seen the movie Center Stage, there's it's about ballet. There's a point in there where one of the instructors says, "Don't worry about all the stuff over here. Don't worry about their ego. This is where your home is." And she's pointing to the bar, the actual dance part of life. So for us, that would be music, I hope. But good governance means knowing where your emotional home is. So how do these two things relate to the way the DMS operates? What is this all about? How does this all help you? And why should you care, basically? So the DMS has what I think is a refreshingly fine-tuned mission. It hasn't changed. And it encompasses these things. It helps us focus. That's what our mission is. It is an active mission. It's not something that's just written down somewhere and then we forget about it. It's like our strategy 2019. We've actually implemented quite a bit, even though we got knocked off course. There's a lot in that strategy which we still do focus on. We use that document. The same with our mission. It is fine-tuned. It helps us govern well. It helps us choose how we respond to things. It helps us focus on what it is that we should be doing. So the first thing is to connect. Connecting. That's what the first part of our mission statement is connecting. Well, what does that mean? Well, that literally means taking a person and connecting them with something. Actually making them associate. Now, it could be with other people. That's the most common, easiest thing to to connect with, but it could also be with themselves, emotionally, intellectually. That's what music does. It helps us connect to ourselves. It could also mean connected to the music itself. So you can actually become, more like an academic approach where you actually focus on what's going on logistically in the music itself, what's going on stage, all that kind of stuff. So you can connect with each other. You connect with specific people. You can connect with humanity in general. You can connect even more with your spiritual guide. There are lots of things that you can connect to through music, and music being the language of emotions is an excellent way to actually deal with things that we don't deal with any other way. So if you're experiencing anxiety or stress or depression or loneliness or even more, then getting involved in live music is a great preventative therapeutic way to do so. We've known that for years. We just don't document it. We don't articulate it very well. But connection is all important, particularly in this time of 7 months of isolation. Getting connected is what the DMS does. The second part of our mission is local communities. Local. Now, the DMS has grown into a worldwide organization. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. We've currently can trace our activities over the past 7 months to impacting 16,500 people across the world. Okay, things like this, these weekend praise, because you share them like you're sharing right now, because this is such a good episode, right? You're hitting that share button. Because of things like that and the festivals that we do, we've had over 16,500 views on all of our materials over the last few months. So we are a global organization. We've had comments from the UK and from Germany and from Canada, from Brazil. We've had people involved before. So we have this big impact. So how can we say local communities? Because you are where you're at. That's you, right there. You are local. So whatever way you can connect with people around you, be it in your home, be it in your street, in your town, in your state, in your country, on the planet, whatever, it's all local. Because of the internet, because we have transferred what we do and put it online, we can connect with each other locally right here in this space. Okay, I'm looking at you in the camera right now. I'm on your screen. Consider yourself local. And a community is just a bunch of people. A commune the problem is we've language has been hijacked so much by political correctness that we lose meanings of things. But community just means a bunch of people with common interests. So if you like music and the person next to you likes music, you have something in common. The two of you have created a community. Does that make sense? It doesn't necessarily mean it's a political ideology or anything like that. It's just a commonness. So your local community can be you and your next door neighbor. It can be you and somebody in your home. It can be a complete stranger that you've never met before, but you have this common interest of music. You can attend concerts with people. You can participate as a performer in events that are musical. There are all sorts of things. So local community is very important to us. But it can mean just about anything you choose it to be. We just want to focus on the individual. We want to keep it on giving you a better life because of the choice of helping you choose how you respond to life circumstances using music, which is amazingly refreshing. And you can connect with your emotions, you can express emotions, you can deal with emotions, you can discover emotions that you didn't even know you had through live music. And that's the third thing, is what is live music? We're very, very clear on this in the Dunedin Music Society. Live music is that in-person experience. Yes, we have shared stuff online. Yes, we record stuff, we do videos and all that kind of stuff. But most people who are involved in music on any deep level understand and appreciate that the live in-person experience cannot be replicated. There is that physical energy in the room, and I did explore this one time. It's on my own blog on stephenpbrown.com, where it used to be before the crash was, where we explore the physical energy in a room during live music, an in-person live music performance. And we're very, very careful that there's a big distinction between electronically produced music through a keyboard, through an electric guitar, through computers, and on all this wild, wonderful stuff. There's a big difference between all of that and amplification. Amplification distracts you. It takes away the ability for you to enjoy music. I couldn't do what I do without recordings. But the recordings are there to support my study and my participation in that live in-person environment. If you amplify an acoustic instrument, not only are you experiencing the physical vibrations of that instrument, of that person's body as they're playing that instrument, or even singing, it's the same thing. The instrument and the person are creating these vibrations. They go bouncing around the walls and all that kind of stuff in the room. And the first way you experience that is through your ears, the sound waves. That's the first thing that hits you. What most of us are not aware of is all the other sound waves that you cannot physically hear are hitting your entire body. Singers know this because they focus their voices in different parts of their body when they sing. There are all various kinds of parts of the body that they involved in singing because of those physical vibrations. So you're receiving all of these when you're listening to an instrument or a group of instruments. Now, when you amplify it and you add speakers, you're now adding two-dimensional reproduction. You're adding more sound waves, more physical vibrations that are two-dimensional. Speakers, they only go in and out, right? It's two-dimensional. So now you've got the instrument and the person and the speakers. What happens is that your body gets overwhelmed. It cannot process that much information, that many vibrations, and turn it into emotions that you experience. Yes, it is still possible, but if you go to a rock concert and you see those banks and banks of speakers and stuff, that's what you're listening to. All those 2D vibrations. And that's why you come out with your ears ringing, because your body literally can't cope with that. So when we're talking about live music, we're talking about in-person and unamplified, so that you can actually absorb and experience the emotions that are behind the music. Wow. I mean, that's the DMS mission, connecting local communities with live music. So if you've ever wondered what that means and what it looks like and why it drives what we do, I hope that explains. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. We will address those as soon as we can. But focus. In order to produce a refreshingly fine-tuned approach to life, the universe, and everything, we're going to focus, stay focused on what we do. We're going to make sure we have good governance, that we avoid trends, that we enable and support each other, and we focus on where our emotional home is. And those two things drive our mission to connect local communities with live music. I really hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, give us a thumbs up right now. Go ahead and share it.